And off we go.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
There we have it. I say it's time.
Heck yeah, it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for WordPress Plugins A to Z, not Z.
It's episode 618, and we have a show for a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's holiday season chatter. But no WordPress news this week. It's all coming up on WordPress Plugins from A to Z. WordPress. It's the most popular content management and website solution on the internet. And with over 80,000 plugins to choose from, how do you separate the junk from the gems? Join us for a weekly, unrehearsed conversation about the latest and greatest in WordPress plugins. This is WordPress Plugins from A to Z. Oh, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be hiding out there on the globe today. Coming to you direct from the brewery overlooking beautiful southern Vancouver Island. I'm John Overall, and with me is the ever lovely
Amber overall.
And we have a great show for you. A Merry Christmas show. This show is coming to you from the past into the present, which we are in the present now, but we're coming to you from the past. And it is a very Merry Christmas to all of you all that are listening to it here on Christmas Day. So thank you all for joining us on Christmas Day. We are pre-recording this show, of course, but we just wanted to make sure that we had a show out on our regular schedule and some enjoyment for everybody. I'm sitting here as we record this, enjoying my eggnog with rum, minus the eggnog. So it's going to be a very entertaining show for you. For some reason, I can just keep going and going, where most of the shows I don't, but,
Thank you for sharing, John. Now get down from that soapbox.
It's the eggnog and rum minus the eggnog.
That's pretty much what it is.
So welcome to episode 618, Holiday Magic for the WordPress plugins. And this is, like he said, it is a pre-recorded show. So we're not actually here, but we want to make sure, like he said, that you have something to listen to if you happen to show up on the regular scheduled day. He said happy or Merry Christmas. I'm gonna add in Happy New Year's because New Year's is, right on the tail of Christmas there.
Yep. For some
Um,
reason, happens every year that way. I can't understand
I know.
why. You think they'd change it, move New Year's away from Christmas?
They just haven't figured out that time is actually wibbly wobbly.
Yeah, that's true.
While you're having your rum and eggnog, minus the eggnog, I'm enjoying a new drink mixture that I actually figured out. It is Jameson's cold brew with Carolyn's added in. It's really tasty.
Really?
That on ice. Oh, so good.
Okay. Well, cold brew though has coffee in it, though, isn't it? That's a coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a coffee whiskey.
Yeah.
It's an Irish coffee whiskey. It's delicious
It's got to be horrible tasting.
to you
Yeah.
because you have very poor taste when it comes to coffee.
No, coffee is like it's like horrible. It smells wonderful, but it tastes like dirt.
Exactly. See, you have poor taste when it comes to coffee.
Yeah, if you say so.
So, as mentioned, we're not really doing a regular show today. We might, mention a couple plugins that we've done in the past, but we are going to talk about where we think WordPress is going in the future. Well, we're really just going to be winging it for the show. We have a few things that we are going to get through. Like, I am going to quickly just do our regular reminders here. Reminder that our show is now every other week, and it starts at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time with a pre-stream starting about 12:15 Pacific time. Pre-stream is where we twiddle with the dials and knobs and really just warm up our voices. So you can join us and have some entertainment. Our show notes for each episode can be found at WP A-Z.com. Newest show notes will be up within 24 hours and on our front page. And don't forget, this is a value for value show, and that you are a big part of its creation. You are our producers. We need you to help us to produce. Get on out there, hit some like button, share an episode or two, and let people know that you helped to produce the longest running WordPress plugins podcast. There, reminder's over. So let's move on to the art because it's a pretty awesome picture.
We have some really nice art this week.
I believe that would be by the Rogue again, yeah?
Yes, the Rogue is going to be creating art for the foreseeable future until we get artists again, because I'm tired of going through the art archives. I've gone through them enough that I'm starting to use them the third time. And
Yeah, the art vaults have been overused at this point. We need some new art.
yeah, and so I'm just making sure it's like I know how to create the art. I just don't feel like doing it most of the time. So being forced to, well, I will go back to creating the art. So
Yeah, take the time when you have some of your brain meats melt into the I can't even think of the word when you create new things. Artistic.
I have no idea. But just so you can see the artwork that it's up, just so you can comment on it, Since we're not on YouTube Live, you're going to have to depend upon screen sharing.
That's true. Yeah, I really do like this picture. I think it's adorable. Although most of the time when a child claps the flower into your face like that, the mother does not laugh like that.
Oh, it's obviously staged, but still, it's unimportant. It just makes it's just got that happy, warm, Christmassy feeling of family and joy is what it was. That's why I chose it. You can see the Christmas tree in the background a little bit, and you can tell they're all dressed in Christmassy colors, and they're making gingerbread cookies, and it's kind of cool. It was a cool cool photo to work with. So I had fun with it. So,
it is.
And I'll find appropriate art for every other thing out there.
Should I get the WordPress tip out of the way? I think I'll get the WordPress tip out of the way before I move on to the chatter about the general chatter.
Sure, why not? Let's go with the WordPress tip. What is the WordPress tip this week?
It's actually kind of important for people who aren't really aware of this. It's about holiday hours. Whether you've been in this business forever now or you're just starting out, remember to take some time for yourself this holiday season and every other holiday season. Like, even if you're probably busy, you probably have a bunch of projects on the go, all with deadlines just around the corner because of New Year's. But what good are you going to be if you're burnt out?
Yeah.
Give yourself permission to take the time away from work. And if you're doing these projects for your clients and they are giving you a hard time wanting you to work through the holidays, just tell them that you're working on it. Don't tell them to bugger off, no matter how good it might feel to do so. placate them, sweet talk them, and then take your time off without guilt. Give yourself at least 2 days, maybe 3, where you don't even turn on your computer unless it's an absolute emergency. If it is an absolute emergency, they will get a hold of you somehow if they have your number. You can leave it alone. Those projects will get done, but if you take these few days to spend time with your family and you give yourself the time to recharge your battery, you will do a lot better. So really making sure that you take this time off is actually working on these projects, because you're making sure that you don't burn out and you're making sure that you'll be able to finish those projects. So that, I think, is a very important thing for people to hear.
Well, truthfully, if you've been in this business for any length of time, you'll realize that from about 3 days before Christmas until about 3 days after New Year's, nobody does anything. Even your clients are unavailable at that time. Most everybody takes that entire week, week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks off, and they just disappear. They'll check their emails for anything that's an absolute emergency, like the website crashed or the servers have crashed or things like that. But other than that, they don't do anything. I know myself, I started it about 3 or 4 years ago. It's like, you know what? Between like the 3 or 4 days before Christmas and a couple of days after New Year's, I don't work on anything except my own personal pet projects or little things that I get joy out of doing versus all the stuff that I have to do to earn money. So
And that is very important for people to know if they don't already.
yeah, it's like it is the slowest. It is literally I've been doing this for 24 years now, and in that 24 years, it took me a while to finally wrap my head around it. Way too long, I think. But I started to realize it's like, wait a minute, between just before Christmas and just after New Year's, nobody does anything. I can't get a hold of my clients. If I do the work and I need something from them, they won't answer. They don't respond.
Well, one of
Everybody's
your
in the
problems is that you're an entrepreneur and a bit of a workaholic. But that is the problem for a lot of entrepreneurs.
that's
They are workaholics.
well, you can't be an entrepreneur if you're not a fucking workaholic.
Exactly. And so
It's that
hearing this
simple.
maybe will, smack someone upside the head
Yeah.
that they put their shit down and they go
Yeah.
spend time
Yeah,
with their family.
you have to stop. You just have to turn it
Yeah.
off and say, yeah, you know what? The world's not going to explode. And if it does explode, well, you got nothing to worry about. So that's really how it works.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that right up because hopefully it helps someone out. And if you're already aware of this, maybe, but you know someone who isn't totally aware of this, maybe take this show and have them listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, you might want to. Pass it along to them. Tell them, hey, relax. It's Christmas time. Enjoy some rum and eggnog without the eggnog and just relax. Or
No,
if you
I
if you
don't
like
think rum
coffee,
and eggnog without the eggnog is any good.
if you like coffee flavored whiskey, enjoy the coffee flavored whiskey.
With Carolyn. Carolyn's is that lovely chocolatey stuff, very similar to Bailey's, but it tastes better, in my opinion.
Okay. So basically enjoy yourself. If you don't like that, have some mulled wine. I hear mulled wine's good. I've never had it, but I always want to try it. I keep forgetting to get myself some mulled spices to make mulled wine.
Mulled wine. Yeah, maybe that's something I'll present at dinner this year.
Well, I've got lots of wine to make it from. So
Perfect.
we just got in a batch of homemade wine.
For it.
Sorry, your brother kicked the cord under his computer, which it turns out my microphone and everything is plugged into that cord. I didn't even realize it until it went click, and I realized he kicked his computer and turned it off. Everything
Maybe
else
just,
is fine.
Attach that power bar to the bottom of the table or something so you can't kick it anymore.
I've tried. It doesn't seem to work. I've tried everything to make it so it can't be kicked. At any rate, all right, let's wander on into whatever else we're going to wander on into. Are we going to wander into, you're going to talk to about the producership credit thingy?
Oh, yes. So producership credit, Join in and be part of your own production and support the show at the same time. There are loads of ways that you, as our producers, can utilize us as your tool to help yourself out, and you'll be helping us at the same time. So it's really a win-win situation there. You can get a producership, do an interview, donate some time, talent, or treasure, get your name up here, all kinds of things. You can look further into the producership credit options by going to our site, wppluginsa-z.com, and clicking on time, talent, or treasure in our main menu on the left. You can look through our site and you'll see all the different ways that you can use us as a tool and help us out in general.
Absolutely. And
And you can
oh, go ahead.
and what?
No, you're first.
All right.
You were still talking before I stepped on you.
You can also reach out to us directly. We have a brick and mortar address here, but we also have our virtual addresses as well. So if you want a more immediate response, you can use our virtual addresses. But if you feel like actually handwriting a letter, haven't received one of those in a long time, you could always look at our brick and mortar address and send something in that's handwritten. Always nice to receive letters that are not bills.
Yeah, well, that's always useful.
Now, what were you going to say? Or have you forgotten?
Oh, I was gonna say about producership credits is don't forget, folks, if you do things such as provide us with artwork, you get a link back to your website if you want to do that. Um, there's lots of ways you can benefit by providing us with support. That while we can't give you money aside from giving you a producership credit, we can link back to your stuff and talk
Yep.
about you. And also, the other things you can do is if you are a plugin developer, let us know. We'll work to get your plugin on here. So we'll do promotions for your plugin, link back to it, talk about it on our social media, or maybe you have a favorite plugin you think the world should know about. Let us know about it, and we will happily pass that information along, do a review on it, and tell the world about your favorite plugin so that others can benefit from what you've discovered. So there's lots of benefits to helping the show out, and we'd really like to see more support in 2024. I know
Definitely.
we've had some troubles in the last couple 3 years, but the world's changed and everything's back to normal again, and we want to really help you out and help us out.
We missed you guys.
Yep. All right. So I guess now we can just sort of wander into random talk about WordPress and what we see
Yep.
coming down the pike, and how AI is influencing everything right now, and
It really
the
is.
sort of events that are happening in the WordPress community, and what sort of things do we want to try and predict for 2024, and we can come back and review this at the end of 2024 and see how right or wrong we were.
Oh, that'll be entertaining.
Well, it is actually. I've done a couple of these shows in the past, and when I go back to look, it's like I was more right than I was wrong.
Well, the last time that we had to do a recorded show because for a holiday season for WordPress, we ended up doing like where we think it'll go, and we were pretty much right on the ball.
Yeah. Well, that's when
So
you're tied into the system, you can sort of see the patterns as they're coming,
that's true.
and that's what we see is we see the patterns. Because we get the news all over the place. We get reports from different things. We experiment ourselves and see what's happening, and just
Well, for AI, I can see that it's going to be integrated into every aspect. It's already basically integrated to every aspect, but what I foresee is the problem of AI not being able to actually live up to the expectations of the people who are using it.
yeah, that's a big one that is actually
Yeah.
starting to make its appearance now.
Yeah.
I mean, the hype was already there for I think AI landed about 4 months ago
Hmm.
is when they made it public. And of course, everyone went nuts with it. And then, of course, in those 4 months, pretty much everybody's integrated it into just about everything that's possible.
And I foresee a lot of problems, like especially with the multitude of updates and what people expect it to be able to do versus what it can do because
Mhm.
of the coding. And a lot of these AIs say that they are learning AIs, but their version of learning at this stage
Mhm.
is not really learning so much as It's not really even expanding their coding. Like their coding is like a a circle of brick wall around them, and while they can expand within that circle, they cannot get past the brick wall.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have reached the brick wall limit, and then they're outside of it expecting the AI to come towards them through the brick wall. And I think that is going to be the biggest problem that we're going to face with AI being integrated into absolutely everything.
Well, there's that problem of the coding and such not, but the other problems I see with AI is AI as it currently exists is not AI. It's technically a large language model. In other words, it needs data to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's limited by the data it can access. And of
The brick
course,
wall.
well, it's a brick wall, but it's a walled garden brick wall.
That makes sense.
Okay, because you got the problem of copyright limitations for the AI to access data. You've got the problem of who owns what data. For example, the Open AI is Microsoft, and I don't recall for certain, but I think Facebook is involved in Open AI, and
I think so.
they're limited by those walled gardens. You got
Yeah.
Google, who's creating their own AI, and it's limited by Google's walled gardens.
And then we have Elon who's
And
creating his own AI.
yes, Grok. Grok has been very
Yeah.
entertaining. Grok has been very entertaining. Grok is a little more laid back and straightforward language than the other AIs, although Grok is still a little woke.
Yeah, but the problem with Grok is that it's another walled garden. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a much larger walled
it's a
garden.
much larger walled garden. What's surprising is that Twitter has more data than FaceCrack and than Google has to throw
This,
at Grok. So,
yeah,
so
but even with all that extra data, see, that's where the problem comes in. People think that this AI technology is like what they've seen in the movies, like
mhm.
I can't like the Terminator.
The
They think it's
singularity.
that kind of stuff.
I think it's a singularity. It's not the singularity
Yeah.
yet. And
What it is it's very well done coding. It's
it,
very well made,
yeah,
very well written,
yeah.
and things are added to it, but it does
Well,
have a
it's
limitation,
not
and people
just
don't seem to recognize
yeah.
it.
Well, it's not just the coding and it's well done. It's the ability for it to take tens of billions of trillions of we'll go with Grok, tens of billions of tweets and all the data that those tweets contain, and then to be able to sort through it in a few nanoseconds, and then to spit out something based upon everything it's read and everything it's still reading. Because
Too literal.
Twitter, the number of tweets sent out per day amount into the billions of
Oh
tweets.
yeah.
So that's additional data, but it's random bits, short sentences, words, sometimes phrases, sometimes long paragraphs, but still it's limited. But the problem with AI, and this is the one that's made me stop worrying about AI taking over, is that AI has a limit because we don't have the storage capability for AI yet,
No, we don't.
and we don't have the computer power for AI yet, and we don't have the data center capabilities for AI yet, because AI uses a shit ton of bandwidth too. And yet we don't have those capabilities yet. It'll be 5, maybe 10 years before we've built out enough infrastructure for those, for it to be able to do
Possibly
anything.
longer.
Possibly, it depends on growth and other things. But the biggest one is the computing power.
Hmm.
The biggest one is the computing power to sort through that data. Yeah, we've got supercomputers and everything, but that's not what they're using. They're networking together tens of thousands of servers. In fact, they're starting to become, in some data centers, they're starting to run short of servers
Yeah.
because of the demands for this stuff. So there's where the problem is in AI. And so I'm not overly worried about AI. Now, AI is still going to be a feature in plugins and programs in the foreseeable future. And what that's going to be is it's going to be an if you're smart about it. It's not going to be like, I'll let AI write my stuff. No, it's going to be, I've wrote this, I'm sort of at a wall. How about if I throw something to the AI and see if I can get some new ideas from the AI? Which is how
That does actually work pretty well. I've done that myself.
I've used it from the beginning.
Mhm.
Is I'd write, then I'd hit a wall and I need something, so I'd throw it at the AI, and the AI would spit back and say, I never thought about that. That will work. And I'd take the ideas from the AI and I'd redo them in my own words, which is the best way I can see it being used. Now it is being thrown into plugins left, right, and center. There was a plugin last week. I can't remember which one it was, but the developers of the plugin threw the AI in without telling anyone they threw it in there. People just did an update, and all of a sudden they had a new tab for AI. And the AI was
Wonder how that went over.
not real well because it was using resources on the website.
Ah, yeah, that would screw it up.
Yeah, and so that's the problem is some of these developers aren't thinking it through when they introduce the AI into their system. It's like, well, we'll take example of Elementor. When Elementor threw AI into theirs, they told everyone they were throwing it in. Then they offered you a chance to use it, and then they put it behind the paywall. And then they told you, well, because of course, if you use OpenAI now, it's no longer truly free.
Mhm.
You have to actually get an account with OpenAI and get an API key if you're going to use it in any plugin or program to collect and use for data. You can still use the ChatGPT bot for free, as far as I know. I haven't tried it.
Yeah, I think so.
But if you're going to use it on your programming, like I tried using it, I set it up in a program once when it first came out, and it was free with the API key I had. But then the next time I used it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, it went, you've run out of credits. And I'm like, credits? What credits? I never had credits. So now it demands me pay for credits. And I went, you know what? I don't need it that badly because I'm not ready to pay for the AI yet.
Yeah, this whole credit thing is kind of odd.
Hmm.
I've actually seen a few different programs doing that. Not plugins I've come across yet, but I've seen like various programs for your computer or your phone where they are they give you like a allotment of credits and you run through those credits really fast. I'm really hoping that plugins don't start doing that.
That would destroy their businesses, I think. Because if that happened to any of my premium plugins, I would find another way, or I would just, because the costs of doing something like that, I would probably be more viable to hire a developer to create that plugin again for me.
Ah, but you see, you're old school thinking. See,
Yeah.
the way that this has been happening, it's been happening slowly with different apps for phones, different programs for computers. And because it's been happening that way away from the internet, I'm wondering if by chance some of the plugin developers might get the idea to bring in these credit things and be like, oh, you have this allotment of credits to try out all of our premium features.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as your credits run out, put that paywall up and like, oh, well, you can't use these features anymore unless you pay for premium.
Yes. Well, that's actually not a bad idea for the premium plugins.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that
And
that might be something that's coming down the pike.
okay, well, see that. Okay, well, that's possible, but that's not a bad idea, provided they don't continue to charge you a ridiculous amount for the credits, and they say pay for the premium, and they charge you an annual license fee for the premium.
I think that's more likely what they'll do
Yeah.
because that falls more in line with how plugins work. But like the
Yeah.
credit idea, I think is coming down the pike.
Well, actually, from my point of view, it's not a bad idea because then it would give you an opportunity. It's like, okay, well, you've given me the credits. Okay, I don't have time to use them right now, and you can hold the credit. If you can hold the credits in abeyance until you have time to test everything, and maybe the credits give you a few weeks of usage to find out if all the premium features work, and it turns out they work, well, shit, it's worth paying the $75, $80, $100 a year for the license.
Hmm.
So
It wouldn't be all that bad. You're right.
so that would not be all that bad. That's actually that would actually be a very good way of doing it if it can be incorporated. But if it's the sort of plan where, well, here you've got 100 free credits, it's valid for 1 month worth of use, and then at the end of that you got to buy another 100 credits, and those 100 credits cost you $20 a month.
So for any developers listening right now,
Yeah.
take our advice. You might actually get more business.
You would. Well, there's been a few premium plugins I'd like to have tried, but I tried the free version. It's like, yeah, it's almost there, but not quite. And I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it, but it looks like it is. But and then I go somewhere else and look and find something that find what I'm looking for. So
Hmm.
it might be worth the time. That could be something coming down the pike. I really don't know. That is an interesting thought, though.
Well, I think it is just because of what I've seen everywhere else.
Yep, that it is. What else have we got coming down for WordPress? Oh, we've got all kinds of information stuff coming down for the WordPress core. There's new changes coming down for WordPress core.
So many new changes. Like I can't keep up with the changes that they're doing right now because every time that I look, there's an additional change that they've added or they've like removed two or three and replaced them. And I'm having a hard time keeping up with them lately.
Yeah, well, that's been one of the problems.
I don't know if they're having like a high turnover in the staff or what's going on. But when I first jumped into this, what was it, 3, 4 years ago?
About 4 years. Maybe it was only 3.5, 4. Yeah, 3 to 4 years ago, give or take. I'd have to go back in my payroll records and see when I stuck you on the payroll.
Well, however long ago I jumped into this initially, when I was looking at the changes that were coming, there was a set allotment of changes. Like the Mullenweg would give the next 3 updates, massive updates, like the ones for the whole year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't change. The names might have changed, but they didn't actually change what they were going to bring in unless it was, oh, we tried this on the version, we had these problems and we just couldn't, so we're going to put in the next one. But that's not really too much of a change. But what I've been noticing this time around, like for this upcoming update specifically, we're going to do this. Actually, we're not going to do this. That's going to wait. Oh, we're going to do this, and we're also going to do this. Actually, we're only going to do A and B, but C we might do. Oh no, we're not going to do C, but we're going to do D and E, but we're not going to go do F. And it's very confusing.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, so I don't know if they're having like a
Well, they could be having issues in and around dealing with the AI. They could be having issues in and around. Of course, we were tossed into the world of PHP 8 last year.
That's true. I hadn't thought about the
back,
PHP 8.
back in the,
That seems to have thrown everything way out of whack.
well, you gotta remember. Well, when PHP 8 was introduced in fall of 2022, it changed everything because they depreciated
Everything below it.
so many functions.
Hmm.
So many functions that had been working in PHP since, God, I can't remember what was
Since
the
the
first
beginning.
since the beginning. And because of that, it just made so much trouble. I know we've had a lot of work with PHP this last year, just converting it. PHP 3 was the very first version, and that was in 2000. And PHP 5.2 was in 2011, so 5.6 was 2018. And then they decided to skip version 6 entirely and jump to 7. So we went from 2019 to November of 2022 for PHP 7 versions. And they kept backwards compatibility. 7.4 all the way back to version 3 were backwards compatible.
Mm-hmm.
But when they went to 8,
they stopped the backwards compatibility.
They absolutely 100% stopped backwards compatibility. There was no more backwards compatibility. And that's starting to happen in WordPress.
Yep.
And WordPress used to famously say that they would always remain backwards compatible to every version of WordPress previous. So if you
but unfortunately, they're not really able to anymore because of all the various changes around them.
That's the problem. There is because not just them, but because WordPress depends on PHP.
Mm-hmm.
They can't be backwards compatible to code that depends on PHP 7 and below.
Unfortunately, yeah, and that's causing so many problems for so many different sites and themes and plugins and just so many things.
It's all over the place right now. It's going to take a couple of years for this to settle out. I mean, PHP 8 was only introduced in 2023. No,
We're at 8.3 now, I
we're at
think.
8.3. No,
Yeah.
PHP 8 was produced in 2020. So in 3 years, we're already at PHP 8.3. It's
And they're not doing anything backwards compatible, or is it
it's
still 8?
8 is semi backwards compatible. They've been making changes and making it sometimes so that 8.3 doesn't work with something that's 8.0 compatible.
Oh, geez.
And I've had it happen where I've gone from 8 to 8.2 and nothing works, or things don't work
That's
because
frustrating.
they've made new changes. And this is the problem. This is the problem I've seen a few times over this last year when I tried to do things, and I'd start with 8 and I think, oh, I can just jump to 8.2. It should be no problem. I jumped to 8.2 and problem.
Hmm.
And that's where we're at now. And 8.1, 8.0 has already been depreciated. 8.0 is no longer supported.
And yet we're still working on making sure that everyone gets up just to 8.
Yes. And now we got to be making sure they get to a minimum of 8.1 and preferably a minimum of 8.2 because 8.3 was just introduced last month in November.
Mm. And a quick note for anyone who is working with clients and having to rebuild sites or what have you. When you are rebuilding a site and you're having to get rid of a theme or something, try to go for something with as little stuff going for it as possible. Like Elementor Hello theme has very little to it.
Has nothing to it.
Having Yeah, like having something that is essentially an empty canvas is going to be your best option for the future, because if there's nothing to it, that means that everything you build can more easily translate in the future as PHP updates or other coding updates. It's not going to have the same kind of impact on the site for you or your client as, say, if you were using Infold theme.
Yes, well, not just the Infold theme, but you've got many, many other themes out there that are still used. And even like
Infold was just the first one that came to my mind.
a couple of years ago, I thought the Astra theme was going to be the thing. And I realized no, because it throws
No.
so much stuff in there. And because they have so many native things in them, it's really hard to get to deal with them. And even as they update, sometimes they break themselves as they update.
The less preset coding and preset things within the theme, the better.
Yeah, and
You want to future-proof the site? Go for themes with the blankest canvas you can find.
the blankest canvas and have no plugins built into the theme.
Mm-hmm.
If you need that function, the plugin exists. Go get it, buy it, find it, whatever you need to do. Yes, we took me a while to learn this lesson. I wish I'd learned this lesson years ago. I sort of knew this lesson in the beginning when I used to use Genesis themes, because Genesis themes were mostly a blank canvas and you had to code to get them to do everything you needed. And I used those for years. And then the cool themes came along and I quit using those themes, Genesis themes, because I didn't have to do all the coding work. I could build faster.
Well, you got distracted by the shiny sparkly.
I did. I got distracted by shiny sparklies, and then I stayed in the shiny sparklies for years, thinking, "Oh, we'll just use it." And then I finally realized, boy, that was a dumb mistake. And now I'm back to the basics. And sometimes you have to toss in some CSS code or other things to make it do the shiny sparklies. But in the end, it saves you
It's worth
time.
it.
And if you keep that client for years, which on the whole, the average length of time we keep a client at WP Pro, host.com, johnoverall.com, the average length of time I've had a client has been about 14 years.
Which is pretty amazing. And if you want to keep clients for that kind of length of time, you want to make your own job easier on you.
Well, that's true. And then not surprise your clients every 5 years with a oversized large bill for redevelopment.
Exactly. When you're redoing a site, think about the future. Don't just think about the easiest way to get things done. Don't just think about the fastest way to get this done so that you can get through it and move on to the next thing. Think about future proofing.
Yeah. Well, that's what we do now. We think about future proofing as much as possible, especially since we got hit sideways by the PHP 8 upgrades.
Yeah, for me, this is just how it is because I'm still pretty new to the whole thing,
Mm,
but the knowledge that everything was backwards compatible until this PHP 8 thing, it really boggles the mind.
mhm.
Because if it was always compatible before, it would make sense to keep it compatible at least to the previous version. But this last time, they didn't even keep it to 7.4. They
No,
just 8.0. That's it. No more.
that's it. It was like going from Windows 6 to Windows 10.
Yeah.
Nothing was compatible. Yeah, it was just a nightmare. So, at any rate, we've had some good ramblings here. Do we have any other little tidbits of folks? This is getting to be a very long show now.
No, I actually cannot think of anything else. Well, actually, there is one thing I wanted to mention.
Okay.
Uh, Hang on, gotta find it. I wrote myself a little note. There we go. There is one plugin that I really, really like and that I keep coming back to when I'm working on a new site. It's one of the ones that I have officially added to my new install list. It's called Keep New Admin Menu Items in Bottom. It seems like a really silly plugin, like not all that important, but this one plugin, it puts everything you add fresh install right at the bottom of the list on the left-hand menu. I have to say, it has made my life so much easier.
Cool.
Just knowing that all of them are at the bottom of the list. It is one of the plugins that I reviewed sometime over the last few months, and I really, really like it. Sometimes the plugins that they don't do something super amazing and fantastic, they just do something really simple that helps your everyday work are the best plugins.
Excellent. I don't have any major specific plugins I use. I mean,
Redirection.
redirection. I don't use
Yeah.
redirection on every plugin on every site.
No, but you've mentioned it a few times. That was
Yeah.
the only one I could think of that
No.
maybe you would
No.
have something awesome to say about.
No. The only thing I use on every single site I build is Gravity Forms.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, and anti-spam bee. I use that on every website. But Gravity Forms, anti-spam bee. Those are the only two major ones I can think of off the top of my head.
The manager,
Oh, the
updates manager.
Easy Updates Manager. That one there has only recently become an important plugin to us.
Mm.
And the reason it's become important, I used to use it hit and miss, but I realized that it needs to be installed on every site. If you build sites for clients, you need to install Easy Updates Manager. Even if you don't use it to prevent updates, what it does may save your ass. And what it does is it has a log in it that logs every time a plugin is updated and who made the updates to that plugin and when they made that update to the plugin. And how that can save their asses. I had it happen recently on a client site. They hired us to do some work, and it was an old client, but they piecemeal stuff for them. And they hired me to do their PHP 8 upgrading. And before I could do that stuff, well, they'd gone in and done their own updates. And they broke a very significant component of their site by updating their plugins, but they didn't know they broke that component. And of course, I didn't know they broke it because I don't pay attention to their site, so I don't pay attention to how it was functioning. I went in, performed all the PHP 8 upgrades, made the site PHP 8.2 compatible, etc., etc. And then a few days later, I get this call that their site is broken and it's your fault. And I went, what? Not my fault. I didn't do anything that should have impacted it. I had to write a couple of pieces of lines of code to fix a couple of things and update a couple of plugins that required. But it turned out the plugin that they update was not one that I had updated. And what I had, fortunately, the manager update plugin was installed, and I found the log, and I was able to find the log that showed they had updated that plugin 2 days before I did any work on their site. And that's what broke their site, was updating that one plugin. And I had to revert that plugin back. So this is an important thing. And it's very important to have certain kinds of tracking if your clients are doing and managing things on their site, so that when they break stuff, they don't blame you for it. And if they do blame you, you can go look at the log and say, it wasn't me. Here's the proof. And then you can get paid for fixing it, versus trying to argue with them and losing, because you will always lose that argument because they'll freak out and whatever, and you'll finally go screw them and you'll fix it just to get them off your back. So that is a great plugin in that aspect.
It really is. And also, there's the whole option of don't allow major updates like WordPress core.
Yeah.
You can set it so that it'll allow the tiny updates, like the point updates, but it won't allow the major updates until you are ready to do it, which really makes things a lot easier.
It's very important, as they proved going from, what version are we at now? 6.4?
6.4.2.
Yeah, but when we went from 6.3 to 6.4, 6.4 broke a lot of sites.
Yep.
And so it's very important not to update your WordPress core until after they hit the first point version.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons why I hold off on it. So thinking of that, you said you have a list of your preferred plugins that you put in on every install. I need you to send me that list, because at WPPro A to Z host.com, if you decide to host with us, we now have a wonderful tool called WP Toolkit that makes it very easy to install and manage WordPress websites. And one of the nice things it has is when you install the WordPress websites, we are in the process of setting up preferred types of installs for people, that they choose that install and it installs all the plugins they need for that install, whether it be for a basic blog, an e-commerce store, other things. And it comes with specific plugins that we think are very important for the site to go in there. And all you can do is click one button. A few minutes later, all the plugins are installed, and some of them are activated and ready for you to go. Elementor is installed, not the Pro version, but the regular version, along with the Elementor Hello theme, which are not base installed with WordPress core. And also, it doesn't install the useless plugins such as Akismet and Hello Dolly.
And if you think that you have an amazing list that you think should be shared with everyone, because it works very well for blogs or very well for stores, send it in to us and we'll actually put it there and make it an option, that setup.
Oh yeah, I would love to have a few more lists of favorite plugins from people. That would be a cool thing for all the listeners out there, is if you've got favorite plugins that you install on every install of WordPress you work on, send it to us, because it'd be really cool to see what other people think are the most popular or most useful plugins.
And if you'd like, we can even put your name to it.
Yeah, if you tell us to, we'll stick your name to it and give you full credit for it. Otherwise, I'll take credit myself, because, as I told my kids, I take the credit for the good. They get all the blame for whatever bad they do.
We could actually start naming all these lists, like so-and-so's lists for this. They could become famous.
They could be. You never know. All right. What else we got? Anything else for the Merry Christmas, Happy New Year show?
Nah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for showing up. We greatly appreciate your time, and hope Santa was good to you and gave you lots of cool toys for Christmas. And enjoy the the rum without eggnog. And just sit by the Christmas fire, or if you don't have a fire, just sit by the Christmas tree, or whatever you do on Christmas, and just enjoy yourself, relax, and enjoy the week of holidays.
And for all the girly girls like myself out there, use that glitter. Spread it all over all the boys' stuff. It'll make you happy.
Glitter? Did you just say glitter?
I sure did.
You know how long it
took
took
trust me, there is glitter all over the place at home.
Oh, God, I hate glitter. You gave me a beer bottle covered in glitter one year. It took me 2 months before I cleared it all out of everything.
Oh, this is a season for glitter. For the girly girls like myself, glitter, that's this time of year. Yeah. It's everywhere, and it's beautiful.
Glitter is evil. It should be banned from existence on this planet.
Yes, we will take over. We will rule the entire world with glitter.
All right. With all that being said, let's have a little music carry us on out of here.
These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. A quarter after midnight, and I'm watching the wall. Sometimes I feel so uptight, I just can't sleep at all. Every day doing the same old thing, we're losing time. The weekend comes, we gotta have some fun and rewind. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. I feel the rope tightening, choking off our air. We need to grab some lightning. Friday's almost here. Caught in a web, we need to cut this thread we're hanging by. Where is it said you have to be half dead to survive? These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder. We're gonna make time stand still. We gotta feel the hunger, hanging over the edge just to taste the thrill. These are the days of thunder.
Alrighty, folks. That's all we got for you now. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care.
Oh my god, that is amazing!
Oh no. Obviously, we just lost the satellite feed. That sucks.